Okay, so we're doing part 2 of the Inventor Puzzle Cube Project Quiz Study Guide. In the first video, we covered questions 1 through 4, so I'm going to start at 5. And actually, right now, I'm going to answer number 5 through 7 all together. So, number 5 through 7 are very similar because it's asking us under what tab do you find the dimensions, the balloons, and the parts list in drawing files. Alright, so 5 was dimensions, 6 was balloons, and 7 was parts list in the drawing files. So we want to answer all 3 of these questions together. So what they have in common is that we're working in drawing files. So in Inventor, I have opened up a new drawing file, and I'm actually going to place in one of my puzzle cube parts. So just give me 1 second while I navigate to where I have that. So that's in my documents, and it's under Autodesk projects, and it is a part file. So here we go. I'm just going to choose this first puzzle cube right here. Alright, so in drawing files, if you remember correctly, you choose the part that you want to put in, and then down here, while this window is still open, you go ahead and click once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, right click, create, and we get our different views. Obviously this is too big, it's taking up more than the page, so before I get started on anything else, I'm going to go ahead and double click on my front view, which is connected to my top and side view, and change the scale down to 5:1. And I'm going to move it around so it's not in my title block area. And then I'm going to double click on this view and also change the scale down to 5:1, make it colored, and move it in the right location. Okay, so if we look back at our question, it says under what tab do you find dimensions in drawing files, under what tab do you find balloons in drawing files, and under what tab do you find the parts list in drawing files. Alright, so if I go up here to the top, these are the tabs, and under the Annotate tab, I have my dimensions, my balloons, and my parts list. Okay, so let me kind of explain what that means. Dimensions, if I click on dimension, I can dimension each of my lines, or each of my different dimensions, the height, the width, and the depth for my piece. And then balloons, they're specifically used for exploded views. So let me go ahead and open up a new drawing. So once again, my drawing file that we use is the ANSI millimeters.idw. And I'm going to go ahead and press my base and find that assembly file. I don't actually have an exploded view made on this computer. That's not a big deal though. I'll just go ahead and use this assembly file as if it was an exploded view. Not a big deal. So I open that up. Not really sure why this is not working. Give me 1 second. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and place it down here, and I'm going to place it in an isometric view and change my scale up a little bit. Okay. Alright, so even though this is not exploded view, I can still use my balloons and my parts list. So I'm going to go over to Annotate and go to Auto Balloon. I'm going to choose this drawing over here and make sure that I get all my different pieces selected. And then I'm going to select my placement, which is outside of the drawing. Make sure that the numbers are going around and click OK. And then click OK. And these are my balloons. All right, so balloons are really just a way of identifying the different parts whenever you have more than one part showing in a drawing file. So I've got 1, 2, actually I'm not sure the numbers there. I'm going to right click and edit that balloon style, make it look a little bit bigger so that we can see. So I'm changing the text style of the balloons to be a little bit larger here. Alright, here we go. So I have part 1, part 2, part 3 down here, part 4, part 5. Okay, so these are called balloons. They are identifying the different parts within a drawing file. So we had dimensions, they were in the annotate tab. We have balloons that were in the annotate tab, and balloons simply identify the different parts, and then a parts list, which is also underneath the annotate tab. So to get my parts list, I need to select what parts I'm including, click OK, and then I can simply place it over here. And in my parts list, it has my item, what the part name is, so that's what I saved it as, and I can add a description in there. Parts list is a way to get more information from each of these different parts that are identified by the balloons. Okay, so we have answered 5 through 7. Where do we find the dimensions, the balloons, and parts files in drawing files? Alright, so what do balloons do? I think we just covered that as well. Balloons identify each of the individual parts in a drawing file. So if I had a drawing file like this, I only have one part, I wouldn't need a balloon because the whole drawing is about this one part. This drawing has multiple parts in it, so that's why we're using those balloons. So it's identifying the different parts in a drawing file. When do you dimension objects? When are the dimensions visible? Okay, so what this question means is that there's 2 different times that you dimension objects. Once we just talked about it in this drawing file, and I'm just changing these dimension styles to be a little bit larger so that we can see it one more time. So one time that you change the dimension is, or dimension a drawing is in a drawing file. This way the person that's looking at the drawing file knows exactly what size the part is. The other time that you actually use dimensions is when you are working in a part file, and let me open one up here. When you are starting the part file and you're making that first sketch, you use dimensions to make sure that everything is in the right size and that your part is fully constrained. So I'm making the dimensions in the 2D sketch, but when I finish the dimensions, you don't see them anymore. So you only see dimensions in drawing files, like this one, but you put dimensions in the 2D sketch part of the part file. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, the next one. What is the name of the tool, the 3D tool we have used for all of our puzzle pieces? Okay, actually my answer is right here. So the first thing I did to make this puzzle piece is I drew this sketch, and then when I clicked finish, I actually extruded that sketch out, and that extrusion is what we see right here. It looks like a box, and this is the button that we use. So what we did for all of our puzzle pieces is we drew whatever shape necessary, and then we used a 3D tool called extrude to make it look 3D. So we took those 2D sketches, extruded them out, and made it an extrusion to make it 3D. Okay, number 11, where do you make a new 2D sketch? Okay, so I'm going to open up a blank part file to answer this question. Alright, so create 2D sketch. This is how we create our 2D sketch. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I have the option of using this plane, this plane, this plane. So that's one of my answers. I can create a 2D sketch on any of the planes that are given to us when we first start the program. So I'm just going to click this plane, and I'm not doing anything in particular here, so I'm just going to choose a random shape and finish the sketch. Okay, let me extrude this out. Doesn't matter the size, I'm not making anything in particular. Okay, so one answer is that we can put the 2D sketch on one of those origin planes, the YZ plane, the XZ plane, or the XY plane that we originally have when we open up the file. Another place that we can click on 2D sketch and create a 2D sketch is any surface, any flat surface of an already 3D part. So I can make a sketch right here on the top of this part. And once again, I'm not making anything in particular, so I'm just choosing a random rectangle and extruding that out. Okay. There's one more place that we can make 2D sketches, and that's on any work plane that we make. And what I mean by that is that we have those 3 planes that we were given, but we can also create our own work planes. And these are all the different ways to create a work plane. The one that we've actually used as an example in class before is to offset from a plane. So I'm going to choose that one real quick and just show you what that means. So if this is a plane right here, I can actually pull this forward, and I've made a new plane for me to draw. And so when I click create 2D sketch, and click on this new plane, then I can draw here. Okay, and once again, not doing anything in particular here, so just creating a sketch. So over here we look in our browser. I made a sketch on one of the original planes, the origin planes. My second sketch was made on the top plane of, or the flat surface of my first 3D shape. And then my last sketch, my sketch 3, was made on that work plane that we created. Okay, so you can create 2D sketches on any of those 3 different places.